Extra match. Oh, going critical.
Oh, it is a special presentation. You got a little taste of this machine at the White Rose Game Room Show video, but now we're going to take you on an in-depth tour of Critical Mass, the pinball machine that was proposed to Gottlieb but never got made. You're going to meet the designer of the machine and also ERIC SELAK, who put this thing back together again from pieces, literally. Plus, you're going to see the black hole and hear some interesting stories about the design of it and how it actually came to be by three guys who pretty much designed it at a bar on a napkin. So, sit back for the next hour and see as this wonderful story unfolds, the story of the black hole and critical mass. We're off, Frank. It's the wonderful White Rose Game Room Show for 2016. Well, there it is, Frank. There's the sign, the Game Room Show. God, the place is packed. They have set up, Frank. Look at that. And look. Place to park, Franklin. I better win this time. I've yet to win in all these years. These better be the winners.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, now we are going to tell you an amazing story. ERIC SELAK loves pinball. And he had an ad in the paper for Black Hole.
No, actually, I was doing the show, White Rose Game Room Show. My email address happened to be blackholepinball@so-and-so.
Okay.
And out of the blue,
Jerry Yingst emailed him.
yeah.
This is Jerry Yingst.
Yeah, was it email or did I call you or I don't know how.
Well, you checked the email, and then you actually did call me because my phone number at the time was on the show's website. So you gave me a call and said, hey, I got this black hole pinball machine that needs some help. Are you interested? Maybe.
Maybe. He was maybe because he didn't know what was going to be coming.
Well, he got more interested when I told him I'd pay him in parts.
That's true. That's true.
I
pay you
brought
with
pictures
parts.
of the truckload of parts you haul.
Yeah, I don't have that.
I have one somewhere.
Oh, really?
So Eric drives over his house.
Yes, I went over to his place and looked at his the black hole pinball machine. And since I've restored about 3 of them so far to this point, I figured I'd take on the task. It was a really high serial production run number, one of the highest I've ever seen. But I knew it had to be later in production. Most of the mods would have probably been done at that time, so I had a decent shot at preparing the game.
Good.
So I picked the game up and took it to my place, and several months later I had it done. And I drove it back to your place, and you were thrilled to death and said, I'm going to pay you with parts. And I was like, well, okay, where'd you get all the parts from?
And that's when the magic starts.
Well, he says, let's go get some parts, okay? And I got something to show you in my barn. Okay. So we drive a half mile to the barn, and inside the barn is a video game, reactor, and the pinball machine. It was just blue Playfield and mouse nest and completely trashed and whatever. I said, well, what is that? And he says, well, that's a game we designed called Critical Mass. heard of it. No, nobody has. You're probably the fourth person to lay eyes on it. Oh, well, I had to buy that machine, knowing that I was in for probably the most excruciating restoration in my life. And I bought the video game too.
And the reactor, another rare one that everybody ignored.
Reactor, the actual serial number on that was number 2, stamped into the wood.
Yeah, they had given me that we were doing video games for that time. They had shipped us that, just like they shipped us pinball parts to get us to do stuff for the video game. They were just launched.
Wow. So, here he is with one of the 3 guys that designed the black hole and this critical mass.
Right.
So, Jerry, fortunately, still had the original pencil sketch or ink sketch. Obviously, this is a copy that he has, but this was the design. And
You notice the production's not that far off either.
That was a design. This was maybe design number 2 or 3.
see the drop target bank?
This could never happen.
Not enough real estate to put drops that close together.
Right. But it's interesting. 3 pop bumpers. 3 pop bumpers on the game. 5 targets on the left for black. 4 targets on the right for hole. That's the same. Spiral to go down to the lower playfield.
And also,
That's the same.
You can see that this was designed by somebody who is primarily right-handed. Because the money shots are here, and the money shot from that is over here. Right? And we wanted to throw something in there for the left-handers, so we had a thing that went up there. But that totally, we had to lose that because it just wouldn't work.
Now tell us, this is important. Did you pick out the name, the black hole, because of the Disney movie?
No. No.
How did you come across that title?
Same way we dreamed up the game. About half a dozen friends of mine and I would go out to the bar on the weekend. But we'd never go to bar to watch sports or just hang out. We'd go to play pin. There's only really 1 or 2 places in Harrisburg where you could do that. So before going out one night, we're sitting around and not really been very much new in pinball design for years and years. What we could do to make something different. And brainstormed for a few minutes, and I thought, how about having a second playfield underneath that would be sloped the opposite direction, and it would be kind of like reverse gravity. And a friend of mine, I'll never forget this, friend of mine sitting over to my right, John Boger, he said, yeah, and you can call it the black hole. And click, just like that, and it clicked in my head, and I knew I had to do it.
Can you tell us, did the movie come out by that point? So
I'd never even heard of the movie.
completely random.
Completely random, that and the fact that as I'm pitching Gottlieb, Columbia Pictures is in the process of buying it.
Look at that.
But they didn't want to tie it. And they never had a tie. There's no little guys there running around or no actors.
So that means I can no longer link my black hole corny green screens to the black hole pinball.
No, it had nothing to do with it, thank God.
That's not going to happen. I'm still going to link my black hole. So you guys pitched this idea to Gottlieb, the 3 of you.
No, I just went out. I went out myself to the AMOA show in Chicago. I didn't know anything about it. I went to AMOA show, I think it was 1980. And I always wanted to go to Gottlieb because I love the machine. It was solid. You know, working this show, I found this techie looking guy that I could talk to, and I said, hey, you know, if somebody would design a pin game. I said, who in the company would you show it to? He goes, that guy over there. Could be a good one to call. This guy wearing a suit. And I said, what's his name? He told me his name. Gil Pollock. And walked around for a while, worked up my courage, my pitch game. And I had a few drawings, kind of a side view drawing and whatnot. He said, man, it's really exciting when you play it. He goes, well, that sounds pretty interesting. Why don't you bring it over next week and show it to us? I said, okay, I'll see if I can do that. I got to get back to Pennsylvania, but I'll see if I can work it. And get back to my hotel, and I called a couple of guys that were working with me. I said, man, we really got to build this thing now. They're interested.
Wow.
So I stalled him, I don't know how many, stalled him for 3, 4, 5 months. And finally got it together and took it out.
And it took about would you say a year to get it out?
For them to get it out?
Right.
Yeah, it took about a year for it to hit the street. They had it done in about 9 months though, and it was enough for test play.
Eric, tell me what this is here. Departmental correspondence.
Yeah, this was for players to actually test play the machine for player appeal before they actually released the machine and mass produced it. This is for the Black Hole. It goes through some things here about player appeal, speech, different features on the Playfield. It also compares it to other manufacturers as well. Williams Jungle Lord, Bally's Embryon. You know, this is the time of 1980, 1981. Williams Pharaoh.
Oh look, and Split Second received the lowest ratings when compared to the Black Hole.
Right, they're doing a comparison on this machine. If they're going to make a production run machine, well, it better be worth all their time and effort. This is like the test report for out in the field. 49 players were tested. This is Gottlieb's average rating on their player evaluations for the Black Hole. How did it rate in 3 different categories? They go down through the list and give themselves a point system.
So the highest rating, it looks like it was Embryon.
Right.
Oh no, Mars got to work on, well, 69% better.
You gotta realize these kinds of papers were on a typewriter, not a computer. This is a copy of their flyer, bits and pieces of it, based on 33 interviews. They interviewed players as well, what they liked, what they didn't like. The final synopsis. 97% felt the game features were very good. So what, did they have to change anything, yes or no? Well, I guess fortunately in their eyes, the answer was no. It was going to flood into a production run machine. And then methodology, to summarize, overall player appeal, and then it went to the different departments, and there's the actual names of the people.
And there's Gil Pollock, right there. Look at that. Wow. I see you found another picture.
I was just reading here that they're actually scored similar to the way we do.
And it says Joe.
Joe is the guy who did the artwork.
Omit ramp targets.
You got 2 minutes to claim your prize.
All these sketches.
And this is where, this is like the first time that this hole was described. The effect was kind of like to simulate like
Moving backdrop for backglass.
called the vortex.
Vortex effect. Look at that. So that was your idea.
Yeah, yeah. And I envisioned it. Remember those old-time fake fireplaces
Yes.
that had a spinning rig?
Right.
Well, I had that idea for this, but I had envisioned this stuff to, come in a little bit more to draw you in. Anyhow, it came off.
Wow. And that
was
took you down below with targets blocking it originally. And as you know, they
forgot all these papers were in here, so I'm just going to bring them out fairly
Yep.
fast.
And that was your drawing too?
That's the cutout, yeah.
That's the cutout.
Right, but this stayed the same almost. It stayed very similar.
Well, no.
That's
This is all
keystone
straight,
cutout.
straight line. This was like a vinyl overlay that went over something about like this, but to make it so you couldn't see the edge. This, I like this fourth one.
Some more artwork. And I'll finish it off with this paper.
Ah, the money. After it got released, the pinball machine that out-earns video. We averaged 290 a week the first 4 weeks on location. Look at that, and these are the arcades.
They're all the arcades.
Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut. Student union at a college. A number of colleges. And let's see, look. First week, 306. Second week, 285. Third week, 247. And that's because the players got better. They got better, so they played longer for their quarter. And I guess it was vending in a quarter.
This was also the first game to be accepted at 50 cents per play.
Ah, okay then.
Sort of like the Dragon's Lair video game, the Laserdisc game.
Well, I know when we vended it at Temple University, it was at a quarter. I know they did it at a quarter. But let's look here. Total dollars from all the arcades: 55, 81, 52, 43. So each week it goes down, but that's typical. That's why you always roll or move the games to the next location. But now we have saved the best for last. Jerry, can you share us this letter you got?
I think this is after Pester and Pollock, because this was taking a long time.
August 5th, 81.
Got him to send us some pictures of the production. Really, in August is the first time I had seen what the production line.
You have 10 minutes.
Looks pretty much like it looks now.
Look at that. Isn't that a treasure? And he sent these Polaroid pictures that Jerry kept.
This is in the factory, right? Gil Pollock took these pictures for you? And
I
sent
know, I think Al Gabers was.
Oh, okay.
He was one of the few the guys in the design team that didn't hate my guts.
I see.
Now, that means, Jerry, in 1980, this is how it started, Frank. This picture right here, 1980. And a year and a half later, this is how it ended up. Isn't that something? From scratch pad, 3 guys in the bar trying to decide what to do, to the finished product. And by the way, this spins when he starts the game. He wired the motor in, so you have to start the game, and that's when it spins. The original Gottlieb had it spinning all the time.
All the time, right.
Wow. Wow. Now, I want to do what everybody wants me to do right now. Here. This is the man that gave us the black hole. Him and 2 other guys. Without them approaching Gottlieb, there would be no black hole, would there? No, there wouldn't. And without ERIC, we would have no critical mass. Shall we go over and show everybody critical mass next?
We can do that.
Jerry's next game in production. Is that your second one you decided to do?
Yes.
Which never got made. Let's go over now and see what's going on.
Yeah. Sheriff, you one piece of paper with you.
Here it is.
This is critical mass. Jerry's and his other buddies' second prototype machine. You know, when you build a game like Black Hole and the manufacturer turns it into a production run machine, they want something else as well. So
Your first design too, and they
Yeah.
turned it into.
well, unfortunately, critical mass, they looked at it, Gottlieb did, for a few months, and they sent it back to Jerry. And it sat in his barn since 1982 until about 15 years ago when I met Jerry, repaired his black hole, and then he showed me what was left of critical mass. And this is It took me about 5 years to rebuild this from scratch. And since we were just going over paperwork with Jerry reminiscing, I figured I'd share a piece of paperwork that I got. There's a lot of red tape that goes involved with dealing with
Here's the date.
the manufacturer, especially with Gottlieb, to get their permission to put the name on a machine that was never really a production run machine. So I had correspondence as well. Probably a little bit more than what Jerry went through, but it was enough. This is the actual, I wouldn't say contract, but a formal agreement of what I can and cannot do with this machine. I cannot sell it. I signed off on this machine and I cannot sell it, but I do got permission to use the Gottlieb logo, official logo, and their name. I also had to have this notarized. That was back in 2006. It's now 2016. It took me 5 years to rebuild this machine from scratch. So we got 10 years ago, this game was finished. And 5 years before that, it was also finished, and I brought it to the show for the first time. This is the second time the game has ever been to the show.
So 20 years, Eric, Critical Mass sat in a barn with a squirrel's nest.
Yeah, it had a mouse nest in the lower playfield.
But now it has come back literally from the dead because of one man.
So not only did you do all the physical work of building it, you went through all the legal work to make sure that you could never ever have a problem from Gottlieb with it.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
Gottlieb obviously gave them their blessing, very kind
That
of
was
them.
very nice of
And
him.
Jerry
Yes.
also
Jerry
gave
had
his blessing too.
right.
He just doesn't, have you noticed, he just doesn't realize how important he is.
Yeah. I mean, I get that feeling too.
Yeah.
I think, you know, people ask me like, wow man, this game is awesome. How long did it take you? How many things did you have to go through in order to get it playable? Well, it took years and it took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears.
Sure did.
But I'm sort of the same way as Jerry. It's like, okay, the game's done, enjoy it. I don't pat myself on the back. I don't give myself enough credit like Jerry does. You know, same thing. But, you know, what's done is done, and we're both happy. I guess we just don't express it that much.
Well, then I think what we should do right now is start to look at some of the paperwork for Critical Mass and how you started it. And of course, the most important part is how it's built and the insides. And then we will end with gameplay. Let's go.
Sounds good.
Now to recap, this is Jerry, one of the original designers of the Black Hole and Critical Mass. And the Critical Mass never got into production. So people say, how on earth do you have a Critical Mass if they never made one? And the reason is...
And Eric made it from the prototype, and it really is the finest pinball I've ever seen.
So Eric actually built this by hand. This man right here took a piece of plain wood, refinished it, and spent hours and hours and hours and hours and hours making this. So he spent all this time manufacturing this beautiful game.
Started with a bare piece of plywood and just basically copied the original design. If you give me a picture back here, Jerry. This is what it looked like when it went to the Gottlieb factory. Completely done. Had a blue playfield.
Now where is this one?
That's gone. That was trash.
No,
so
Eric,
bad. Yeah.
Well, so in other words, Eric
I hope you gave it a decent
Eric
burial.
started with a playfield so he could get the idea and layout, and recreated this original Playfield from years ago, from '82. Oh look, he's got pictures here.
So this is, if you scroll through some of those, that's what it looked like when I found it in Jerry's storage area.
You had this in your storage area, and
I had it in the first floor of my barn, but it had a dirt floor.
your beautiful critical mass.
And this is really cleaned up. I mean, you can see there was a squirrel nest in there someplace.
Is that right?
It was the whole barn.
It was the whole entire game.
The head too?
Yeah.
Just sitting there, yeah.
But this is all Eric's design. We had nothing, but we did have the storage device. We didn't have any.
You didn't have that glass.
Right.
So the glass was handmade. So you actually had this hand-wired. This is a hand-wired Playfield.
Yeah. And if you look at it, there's about 12 colors of wire in there, which is all we can find. You look at Eric's. This machine goes way deeper than just the appearance of it. This is an actual machine that is wired, color-coded to Gottlieb's color code. White wire, black stripe, red stripe. It's a 722. On and on. I mean, and this is all stuff that Eric made. He got the right font. I mean, this is
He made his own manual.
If anybody is missing a room key for the Quality Inn, please retrieve it at the registration table. Again, if anybody is missing a room key for
that
the
looks
Quality
exactly
Inn,
like the production.
please retrieve it from the registration table. Thank you.
So this is all handmade, just like a real Gottlieb manual.
Yeah.
So that shows you the love Eric had to bring Jerry's machine back to life.
It's very true.
It's
Yeah.
reborn.
Look at that.
When you have to start from scratch, basically Jerry did the hard part. He had the design. And he had a game at one point in time that was at the Gottlieb factory.
I got all the parts together.
Yeah, and all the parts that he needed. So the whole idea was to copy everything from the original Playfield
And there's the hole.
to a new Playfield.
It takes you down below to the lower Playfield.
Right. Some things were changed. It was actually this one that went to the lower Playfield. There are some differences, but I had to get permission from Jerry and Gottlieb to make any change whatsoever. If he would have said, no, you can't make this change, you can't move that hole up there, I'm sorry, that wouldn't be right, then it would have never happened.
Well, I think people would love to see the inside of this.
Sure.
Jerry, did they ever have plastics, or were they just with artwork?
We had artwork on the black hole, but not this.
Okay.
Main reason was they weren't using all of their art.
So they didn't do any artwork for it. They didn't do any artwork for this machine.
No, I gave them the machine and that's whatever.
How about the cabinet art? Is that done yet at all, or okay? Is this what you wanted to do? Okay. Just curious.
Black hole is not like
Look, he's made the instruction cards.
My card? I'm sorry.
he walked his hands first.
They're beautiful cards. And look,
Yeah, but it has the chronological order of the years and all the people that originally started it, even people from Gottlieb himself. And I had to make those instruction cards about it.
and you got the same fonts, everything's the same.
Got the same fonts, yes. You can find them online. I had to pay for the fonts that I used for the cabinet and the back glass. Yeah.
And did Gottlieb, they didn't charge you anything to make the machine, did they?
No.
But they just approved you, so you could do
They
it.
were basically out of business.
Right.
But there is one person that still owns all the copyrights and still runs Gottlieb Development. He's actually in the Mondau building. He has own desk and everything.
Well, we're dying to see the inside. We're dying to see that.
Oh, I know.
No, he's stalling. We want to see if the wire color code is the same. Oh, good, he put a bar in. We love it.
Wheel the other of the Swords of Fury. Please report to your game. The other of the Swords
Well, look
of
at
Fury.
this.
Please report to your game. There seems to be a wall stuff.
Well, let's start at the top. Identical top buffer boards, except the chips are in sockets. In fairness, I don't think I've ever had a chip go bad.
I never did either, but
The only thing you had to do was reverse the cap and put the jumper in.
right.
Then they were bulletproof.
But when I'm rebuilding everything, I mean, I used original Gottlieb parts. This isn't, but that's because Gottlieb, their CPU programming and code only goes so far when you're talking a game in the early 80s. So I had to make my own program to handle other features as I was building the machine. So it was really playable. And I used all the Gottlieb parts, so as I'm going through wiring every lamp socket, every switch, every coil, one at a time, I might as well make a manual because it's gonna have issues down the road eventually. So that's where I got the manual.
So when you lose your ball, it goes down this habit trail to this up kicker.
Yep.
Now look at this. It looks like probably a Data East up kicker system.
Exactly what it is.
Okay. Bring that up. And he's lit the hole too. Was that lit in the original design?
No.
Okay.
I just added a couple of these
It's
extra
nice.
features
It's
to finish
nice.
it off just a few months ago.
Doesn't it look like
I can
new?
finally say I'm done with it.
And look, I want you to look at the color code. It looks like the same thickness and exact same system of wire that Gottlieb used. There's just a couple of non-traditional wires, like the blue. But this is the green ground system. Everything we're familiar with, even the Molex plugs are the same. And obviously he's got the same brackets. Isn't that beautiful? Now,
I ran out of the striped wires. I had to buy two junk Gottlieb machines in order to find the right wire color codes.
oh wow.
And when I ran out of things, I had to resort to like a blue and a black and a yellow and a green that were solid colors.
You know, this is scary because now I'm trying to figure this out. This is not like a 100-hour project. This is like a 1,000-hour project or a 2,000-hour project.
It took me 4 years and 9 months to redo this.
The love he has for your machine.
I think it's not really for my machine. He's got
Yeah, but he loved your machine.
Love of the hobby. We'll put it that way. Love of the hobby.
Wow.
If you think this is impressive, wait to see the inside of Black Hole.
Aha.
That's what happens when you have too much time on your hands.
Can you tell us, there's 3 volume knobs.
Yes, because I use 3 sound speech boards in this machine.
Oh. Is there a lot of programming?
It's
that
all
wasn't
original Gottlieb programming and a few little extra speech lines that actually say critical mass, going critical.
Short extra mass.
There's about 10 other
Short
speech lines
extra mass.
in this game.
Going
They were added
crazy town.
along with Spirit, sound speech board, and Volcano. And in order to get the right combination to make the sounds fit the machine, the PLC and its timing and things actually activate those sounds, not the CPU. The CPU is actually a Mars God of War. It's the only game, you know, people always say, well, why didn't you put a bonus score display in the lower playfield? Well, you want me to put a rectangular score display in a circular playfield. That's not the original way it was.
Right.
You know?
That would make sense.
Well, why did you stick with bonus lights? You know, you could have put a Williams board in here and had the right sound effects that you were looking for. Well, that's still not original. Actually, those bonus lights actually came from a caveman. I popped every lens out and re-stamped them in.
So they're cavemans. The Playfield's clear coated too.
It is. It's an automotive clear coat. About 10 to 15 coats.
So it's ready to put in a smoky bar someplace.
Right, so it gets all stinked up and everything. It
By the ocean. Oh, man.
has 3 sound pots and it also has 3 speakers.
I saw the other 2 in the back. It's a product we call Ultra Stereo.
I like that.
Ultra Stereo.
I can show you the inside of the head.
Yeah, let's look at the inside.
Now these bowl guides, I had to cut those and I had to have them chrome plated.
These are all chromed here. This is chrome. And as you can see, the ball comes under the playfield, under here, and shoots up here and ejects into the field. So the playfield's the full width of the machine. I know what full width is.
Yeah.
Now abuse? Every show he abuses me.
He has no right to talk.
Every show.
That's what friends are for, buddy, to pick on friends.
All right, now everybody is dying. Wow, look at that. Look. Now, is that powered, can we guess before you open it, is that powered by Gottlieb's famous animator board? Good.
Yeah. This game has an outrageous amount of lamp chaser boards.
Really?
That's what I call them. Like 6 or 7. There's one on the lower playfield that probably already got on camera. Another one, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, now before you open these are flash lamps.
Yes.
Were they in the original design? Okay.
Yeah. I added them too.
Did you approve it by him?
I think we had flashlight bulbs.
Come on, see the LED flash?
I can't remember if I got his approval or not. I might have been too deep into it at that point.
I hope
really
the Gottlieb guy isn't watching. You have to look at the side too. Remember, you always look for the display. A Gottlieb man, see? Ah, that's called the stack system. Can you see the boards? Frank, hold the camera up so they can see. Let me get in there. So they can see the 3 boards stacked up. Now, I won't be rude, but that board right up at the top, Frank, show them that reset board. See that reset board? That needs to go in the trash. I'm sorry. I don't like reset boards.
It's actually saved me on
So much trouble.
I never really had any trouble.
Really?
Saved me on my black hole one.
I did see that ERIC has, right over here, Frank, show. ERIC has added the extra ground. I thought it was suggested you do. See right here? That was on one of the service bullets that nobody ever read. I opened them up and nobody did. There, look at that. Tell us what happened with the with your driver board, Eric.
Well, I had to add a few more electronic circuits to the driver board. In that area, those 2 chips basically control the sound, but sound codes come from the CPU through the driver board and into the sound board. Well, the other chip I've added is a tie-in to the PLC. So what happens is when the CPU board tells a sound board, I want this sound effect, it all depends on where the game is at, what targets you're hitting, the PLC can interrupt that signal or add that signal to a different soundboard and trigger it by itself.
What is the chip again on that one?
It's a 7404. It's a hex inverter chip, and all it does is basically sees what the CPU board is saying, what sound effects to do, and sends it to the soundboard itself. There was no direct connection between the CPU and the soundboard ever. It had to go through that chip.
Now, here's a question. You have 3 soundboards, but only 2 power supplies.
Yeah, one of them is being doubled up for 2 boards, 2 sound speech boards. Otherwise, I don't think I had enough room to stack 3 of the power supply boards.
Well, you know, Gottlieb was known for beefing up everything. So Gottlieb's steel, all their steel and all the Gottlieb games was always stronger than everybody else's.
That's exactly right.
So their flipper mechanisms never broke.
Exactly right.
40 years later, they never broke. You know? So they always beefed up. So I tend to think that's what they did here. And his original, the Gottlieb original System 80 power supply is very dependable. And all you have to do now is rebuild them. And they're as good as new for another 30 or 40 years. Of course, Frank, it's everything but that reset board. Oh, I hate those reset boards.
I love them.
Oh, they're horrible.
Doesn't seem to be doing any damage here. Sorry, Todd.
If you open up any of the 1,000 Gottlieb games I've sold, those boards are gone. I left the 4 holders there, though.
You know what's interesting is that on my black hole, they actually had the screw holes for the reset board in the lamp insert.
Attention show attendees.
But that didn't come out
There's still time to join the
until a couple years later.
over at the underneath the Angry Bird balloon.
So they were already
Thinking of
putting that
you know, we should explain. If you turn a Gottlieb pinball machine on 50 times, 1 time it won't start.
Exactly right.
1 of the 50 times. Now, if it's in your house, if you turn it on and it doesn't start, well, what do? You turn it off and you turn it on again. But in the store, see, Gottlieb is thinking, the guy that owns the corner store isn't going to do that. He's going to turn the game on and he's going to walk away. And if it doesn't start, he's going to call the vendor out and say, your machine does not work. So that's why Gottlieb came up with the reset board.
I also removed the 5101 static sensitive chip and the battery. Neither one of my games have batteries in them anymore.
It's a good idea, but
really
when,
nice.
if that goes bad, it's not cheap to replace. So we are leaving the 5101 in, and we're putting a lithium battery, a little round cell that you
works
can change. And that way the customer, he calls me on the phone, he lost his memory, he can drive to the corner store and buy the battery for $1.50 to get his memory back up.
That's true.
The only other option is to go out and buy that because the 5101s are very dependable as long as you don't touch them. It's static.
Right. Yeah, they are extremely static.
Oh, here are, look, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, and are these 4 running the system?
Yeah, the flash lamps and the 3 spinning
Okay,
out.
so, well, we can see the difference. Look, the larger chips, the larger transistors are running the higher voltage 12-volt lamps, and the smaller run, the U45s, are running the 44s, the 6-volt bulbs. Now, these are used in, well, Spring Break for their flash lamps. Genesis uses that board, and you know what, people get them mixed up.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and it's never nice.
Well, that's bad.
It's never nice when you mix these boards. So you have to, they look alike, but if you look carefully, they're not. Wow. Well, I think everybody's ready to play it.
I think so. I think a lot of people do.
Look, there's a lot of people watching. Now, can you tell us why you left these lights out? Was it too bright?
It was too bright. It really didn't match the back glass that well. It's actually a haunted house.
I was just going to say, this is the haunted house lighting.
Yeah.
Because You had never had an insert. You did have an insert. The original insert couldn't be used?
No. It was just too far going.
So that means you drilled all these holes.
Yes.
But the original haunted house was here. So I see a couple you couldn't get around. You used a couple of the original holes. Okay. Impressed so far? Good. We'll put his glass in. Oh, and he's got real tempered glass. See, Eric went first class and had tempered glass made the right size. Look at that. Now, is there a chance you can play with the glass off so you can activate everything? Eric, why don't you play it and show us the rules? Since no one else has really played it or had a chance. Can you turn the volume up too for us?
I got it up as loud as it can go.
Okay. It's got a flash lamp in here, and the shoot ball went flashing. Now the flash lamp you probably added, right?
Yes.
But this is probably factory to have that light blinking.
No, I added both of those.
Oh, okay.
And everybody that played it didn't know where the ball was, and they walked away.
Well, you know, Stern put a light like that in for Orbiter. No one knew where to shoot. They didn't know where the ball
exactly
was.
right.
Okay, here we go.
So anyway, real simple. The idea is to knock down the drop targets. Spell the word critical. And then lock the ball in the red ejector.
Look, the red spinning. And, oh, wait a minute. That means the first ball's locked.
Correct.
The one ring.
The red,
There we go.
red targets, red saucer, the red atom. Now we're going to do the green. So if you knock those 4 targets down.
They're down. Okay, our green isn't flashing yet because we have to go in the green hole.
Right, that's way up on the
Right here.
Right.
So the green's flashing. So when we go in there, now we have 2. The game is thinking, and it's going to give Eric a 3rd ball. Look at that. See, easy rules, see?
Real simple rule set. And the final shot is this gate opens.
The gate's now open for you to loop in.
Back behind the bumper.
We can hear the sound. That's the volcano. It's going to blow.
Yes. Trying to get the sound. Basically, you have 3 times scoring.
So the game plays itself.
And it just sort of bounces around down.
And then you're busy here moving around.
Right.
And here's an interesting shot. Look at this here. This can hit this and then bang it into the other shot.
3 feet of gas.
Well, we hope it doesn't. Now, do you lose the ball here too?
That actually goes back to the shooter lane.
Oh, wait a minute. Let's try that. Frank, look.
Fire.
What a clever idea. And look, our light comes back on. You get another chance. Did you see how he can push that out of the way there?
Fire.
And now it's just we lost both balls.
You're back to
The gate
single
is
ball.
shut.
Gate is shut. Now, just curious, if I suppose, since this is loose, I can feel it's a magnet holding it shut. But let's suppose the ball accidentally went into that hole. Would it react down here still?
Yeah. It's going through the sound effect.
There's the sound effects. It's going to blow. I know you
Going
can't hear
3
that.
feet of.
And there it is. So you can shake it a little to get some action.
I don't have the flash lamp started for some reason. I think I saw a connector missing back there. But
Try to plug it in.
I'll get it.
So now, once again, we start again. We get those down. We go here. We actually didn't show the orange ring. See, critical mass lights up. And once again, it keeps reminding you, no, Eric, does this mean I can go into the hole now? Or
It's just a little bit off, so the gate is open.
So I could get 2 ball multi-ball now. So if I want 3 ball multi-ball, I have to Gottlieb always did the orange purple is extra tall.
That's exactly right. Even the shoot again,
So now we have two.
would be the shoot again is very extra tall.
So Eric,
So extra flat.
so now Eric, if we go up here,
Let's lose it. Lose it.
we'll lose that here.
No, I want to lose it down here.
I wanted to see this one light up.
Going 3 feet tall.
Oh, we were waiting for the yellow to come out. Okay, the yellow would normally be spinning, right, Eric?
None of them are usually spinning at all. It's the blue one that the PLC.
Now when it comes up here, right down the toilet,
Yeah.
we don't even got a chance.
No.
Oh, I thought you were going to shoot it. Now Gottlieb, so it doesn't blow coil fuse, Gottlieb always hits the drop targets up separately. Instead of having them all go up, boom, there goes your coil fuse like 2 days later. So they go bang, bang, bang. That's why they always reset out of phase.
Right.
All programmed that way. All right, we'll let Eric take over.
If you block the ball,
Oh, by the way, this was flashing. That didn't have any variation for locking the ball, right? It always has to be there for the first ball, right?
really, yeah. It can be either drop target bank or light. The full to
Now,
tell you.
can you light them out of order?
3 feet tall.
Okay, so
Flat.
we could have lit mass first.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, it's just telling you, you want to lock that hole or you want to lock this hole. Doesn't matter. And what's going to happen is I'm going to do this like,
You're
again, you're playing Morse code 4. If you're going to go through every little setup, you'd figure out that when you hit the 4 drop target bank, you lock a ball. You hit the other 4 drop target bank, like the other one.
you're
You go up the tube shot, that's the same as going down to the lower plate. Just keep that in mind, and what everybody has a tendency to forget
Right?
is that when you're playing the game and you lose the ball in play,
Okay.
the balls shoot out,
And you can't
and
play.
everybody goes, hey man, this game isn't working.
This is the Mars God of War. You
Yeah.
see how all the lights are sequencing back and forth. Mars God of War does. It does not let you pick up and continue.
Right.
But wasn't there a dip switch flip where you could still play it?
There was, but I don't think anybody really used it. Because
So you may be able, if you have a Mars God of War, you may be able to flip the switch and
Yeah.
still play the other two balls.
it's just like Gottlieb, or the black hole. When you lock the lower play field and you lose the ball, you go to the second player. You have a chance to steal that lower play field locked ball. But when you get to the upper play field and you lock that ball and you lose your ball, you also lose the locked ball. The game code can't remember that you got that chance. It'll still show up again as lighting. You got to shoot it to lock it again. But you lose the ball, you lose the locked upper playfield ball.
You know what, Eric? This calls for us to do a letter writing to Gottlieb and campaign to complain that the programming needs to be changed.
It was only 8K of programming, not megs.
Wait a minute, 8K is pretty big. Isn't that like half of what's in the greeting card when you open it, it sings to you?
Yes.
No,
Actually,
8K. That's like a comic book of material.
you know what's really scary is the Apollo missions used less than 8K going into outer space.
And and this shows you why this stuff's so terrific. They took 8K and they packed it. They crammed everything they could into this. And because that's all they had.
That's all they had to work with.
They said, you got 8K.
When you look at
do whatever you want with it. And the guy, how can I do this with 8K? But they did, didn't they?
Yeah, with one chip.
Very smart.
If you look at like an older video game, you'll see rows of 8K chips, EEPROMs. Well, because the code was so long, they had to stack them up. And
There's only one chip in this.
yes, and one CPU.
One 8K. Look at that. boy, it would be nice to unleash this in a quiet room so we can hear the sound.
Oh, absolutely. Because not too many people have heard Spirit. Spirit's a low production run machine, and the coding for the voices for this game, even when it's in a track mode, is relative to the game itself.
But you see what's different here is when Gottlieb built the Black Hole, Gottlieb was not building it for the beauty and the collectability and the fun. They were building it because they wanted to make money.
That's exactly right.
And the vendors buying it looked at it, it's another pinball machine, it better make money. They didn't care. They didn't look at the beauty of the machine.
Right.
They were just looking at what was in the cash pan. The dollar. But now it's different.
It is.
Now this machine is treated like if you were going to an art gallery. This is a work of art.
Yep.
And that man over there, right there, is
Yep. And an engineer and a designer and all the above.
But he didn't have that in mind when he was building it.
No, salesperson.
Right.
I mean, even though this is my machine, I still have little tags on the back glass that say critical mass on it. You can barely see them. I had to put that on there. That's a requirement from Gottlieb, because it also has their name and logo on it.
Yep.
I had to make this out-hole cover. This is vinyl. This is individual vinyl strips that you run your finger over.
Oh, I can feel it. Yes. Oh,
You know
God,
how
that
hard
took
it is
forever to put that on.
You try to put that star in the right spot without screwing it up.
Okay, so in other words, folks, this isn't printed. These are individual vinyl letters that he put on with a one of those little knives. Those
Yeah,
little,
little X-Acto knives. Yeah.
And he had to put them on just right and not have his hands. Hold your hands up. Let me see something. Okay. Well, they're not shaking. It's okay.
Nope, not today anyway.
You need to get it like ziggy-zag.
Look at this. What is the cabinet painted or the cabinet's painted?
I did the painting on the cabinet. I made my own stencils. I had spray painted this cabinet and clear coated it.
This was originally
The cabinet was a Force 2.
That's a great game, by the way.
The head and lamp insert was a haunted house.
Right.
And the back box is also a haunted house.
Haunted house. So it's a haunted house head, a Force 2 cabinet,
and a black hole transformer panel, because they also use 38 volts and 24 volts DC to power their coils. So I wanted to make sure I had the most juice possible, especially for downstairs. That's wired with 38 volts DC.
So that's to kick the ball up, right? You needed more voltage.
Yeah,
more
we did everything around downstairs in the slingshot area.
Okay.
There's also a tag in the back that says, and this was also from Gottlieb, that I must put their name, my name, and a sticker on the back box, which you can probably sneak the camera back there and look at it. Hardly anybody ever sees it.
There it is. There's the sticker. That was really very, very good. Thanks for sharing Critical Mass with us. Eric, how about if I never really got a chance to see the play on the inside of the black hole. Can you show us that now?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Let's go over and look at that. Well, now Eric's going to show us the inside of his black hole that you put a brand new Playfield on.
It was the last Playfield from Sherry in the parts department at Gottlieb in '92.
Wow. That means this is a very special Playfield. And
Yeah.
you have put a plaque on it to show how special. Right, let's show that. Can you talk to us about what you did?
Basically, when I got the Playfield, blank Playfield from Gottlieb, I sprayed the underside of it black, completely black, just to give that game a depth of color, you know, like a dark, deep black color with all the other lights lit, sort of reflected off of the grayish blue undercoat primer, so to speak. So when I actually got it done in '92, I had somebody make up a little plaque for me.
So you did this years ago.
Yes. And here's on the metal pieces that hide some of the wiring harness when you're playing the game through the window. I added chase lights that give it that swirling effect when you are playing it underneath.
But I see you left the original's light sockets in to keep it original.
Yes, and
These
they
are the
do work.
original 28-volt light sockets that you're no longer using.
That's exactly right.
They were special bulbs. You know, Eric, how many people put 44s in? And the 44 6-volt bulb would work great for about 20 seconds. It would work like this. And then it would blow out.
Yep. Like a
People
flash
just
bulb.
didn't understand because it looked like the other bulbs.
Right.
Go ahead, continue.
So, when I was transferring parts from the original Playfield to the new Playfield, I was experimenting with actually painting some of the brackets, which is not a very good idea, especially if you're going to have to replace a stop in a pop-up or stop or something. You're going to just peel the paint back off.
The paint will chip, yes.
Yeah, it was just one of those things. But down on the lower Playfield, I didn't want the bare metal that always has everybody's fingerprints all over it. I spray painted that black.
Put the light on, Frank. That would really help.
I actually added checkerboard trim, so when you pull the upper Playfield forward to work on it, it doesn't automatically strip the insulation off of your wiring harness.
I see you also put the Velcro sides here to soften the ball from banging into it.
Yes. Keeps the noise down to a certain extent. Also, to keep the noise down, I also put carpet in the machine. Okay, now we're really getting out there, folks. That carpet goes all the way back. It actually helps with the sound production.
Eric, I noticed how clean everything looks. Can you slide this forward, or do you have the lock? Is there any chance to see the underside of this?
If I unscrew this, I could probably pull it out and lift it up.
We'll just hold it up briefly.
Okay.
Okay.
Black hole.
There we are, and you even heard the advertising sound.
Yes.
You know, Eric, I don't know if you're aware of this, but no one does escape the black hole.
No, once you get hooked on a machine, you're pretty much stuck with it.
Then once you get hooked in the black hole, you start manufacturing other games.
Yes.
Isn't this neat?
Also, when you slide the lower Playfield in, it always catches on the metal brackets.
That's
I
right.
modified them so they just slide right back in.
Wow, what a great concept. Eric, we also noticed he's using this stick to hold it up. Gottlieb did not put the prop arm in, but it looks like they had plans to at some time. You see, they have the hole cutouts, and they have the screws. But I think what they found is that they were getting caught in the wires and ripping things. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. And then when you had the prop up, you could not move the lower Playfield out because the prop is in the way.
That's right. So you were stuck. So you have to make adjustments if you love this machine. And look, real quick, Frank, show this here. That's when the last Playfield, that's it. That's the paint. Frank, I could have turned that in the video program later. Now, Eric's going to show us the behind the scenes.
Lamp insert board, repainted white.
Okay.
Original back glass.
You're supposed to lift it there, young man.
I never do.
Is that awful? Now look what Eric did. He added this board right there.
I've added a lot of things.
I like your heat sink on the power supply.
Yeah, that keeps that nice and cool. Still original.
Oh, did people see it? Frank's referring to this on the back. Reset boards.
What's that board for?
This is a variable motor speed control for the spinning disc on the back glass.
A replacement motor. Now,
This relay.
For people that don't want to get that involved, there's a link that you can see where you can actually buy the black hole motor that you can retrofit, because you really can't get involved. But you were going to tell us this relay here.
This relay is tied in, so when you get a new ball, it dims all of turns out all the GI lights in the head and the back box, and it slows down the chase light effect in the frame of the machine.
Right here. And then when it goes back on, did you see it speed up? So do it one more time for us, Eric. He did it? And did you see this? They slowed down a little bit. Good. A very nice effect. How did you tie that in? To what switch? So it would do that.
Actually, just to the ball release coil itself.
The ball release coil. So the ball release coil triggers the ball release and that relay.
And that relay. You can do 2 coils with 1 transistor.
Okay. Now we are ready for a quick gameplay. Now we played it earlier, as you know, but I never got it below. So let's try your chase effect, Eric, right now.
I'll go downstairs.
Look, you see the lights moving below, folks? You were supposed to hit the flippers, young man. So the effects stayed on. I'm not gonna bug him anymore. Let me show you. I also note that he has white rubbers on the top, white to hold the plastic down, and he has black rubbers holding the plastics below, so it makes them more invisible. Isn't that a nice effect? And the mirrors really reflect so much better than the polished chrome. So that's something you guys can do to your black hole if you want. And you know you can buy brand new drop targets, you can buy pop bumper caps from Steve Young at Pinball Resource. Now, did you buy a brand new set of plastics for your game?
I did, yeah, they are a new set of plastics.
Well, a brand new Playfield deserves a brand new...
And a brand new window, too.
Brand new window. Look at that, Eric. Beautiful. Okay.
Yep.
Well, we are very pleased that you shared with us your beautiful machine. You did a first.
You're very welcome.
This is really nice.
Well, thank you.
We're really pleased that you went through all this effort, and that Jerry was here to join us. They're actually throwing us out of the place because it's closing time.
Right.
Gosh, it wouldn't have been nice if we could have filmed it now when it's quiet. They want to go home too.
Yeah.
They don't want to go home too.
But thank you, Todd, for showing up and actually covering these 2 machines like in depth, like nobody else has before.
Finally, I hope we were so thrilled when he contacted. This was in the planning stages for about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And Jerry was able to join us.
Thank you.
That's the man.
Yep.
That's the man. Without him, there'd be no black hole.
Nope.
And there'd be no critical mass.
That's true, too.
That's right. So because of Jerry Yingst, Jim Kapp, and Joe Seacack, we have the Black Hole Pinball Machine. And we almost had critical mass. There were some interesting extras to tell you. We only have that one black hole picture of the prototype that they presented to Gottlieb, who loved it, and then they bought the design, and of course they redesigned it for themselves. But they kept that prototype and they moved it into a secret research and development room, and it was never seen again. Now, that's a direct quote from Jerry. Anything Jerry, Jim, or Joe wanted from Gottlieb, parts and things so they could build these prototypes, Jerry simply placed the order and Gottlieb sent them anything and everything they asked for. And Eric has copies of those parts orders just to prove that. Isn't that neat? And we'd also like to know that they made both the Black Hole prototype and Critical Mass at their shop in Harrisburg, PA. They took the prototypes to Chicago. One of them went out there with the prototype to see if they were going to buy them, and they did. And Jim did the programming of the EPROMs and the electronics. The prototypes worked, but not a whole lot. But it was just to give people the idea of what was going on. Of course, the Black Hole was bought right away. But Gottlieb kept Critical Mass for 2 months, and then they sent it back. They decided they didn't want it, and it sat until 2001, until you heard the story of how it was resurrected, or discovered by ERIC. Anyway, do you know these three guys made a third machine? A 3-level game called Dragon's Lair. This is the only picture we have. Dragon's Lair does not exist anymore. The prototype literally fell apart, and that was only the one picture that was snapped years ago, and it's no more. So we'll never know what that was going to be like. That would have been kind of neat. And of course, Gottlieb had already made their 3-level haunted house. So Dragon's Lair is no more. But we're glad you joined us to see the prototypes of Black Hole and Critical Mass. Thanks for joining us, and make sure you subscribe. Good night.